time, faster than ever, hungry and I'm going to come back and take what is mine, bigger and better. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. Saddle, cut to the chase. I ain't somebody who stays in one place. Ready to go, I'm coming to play. You better know I still got something to say. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know that I was born for this. I was born for this. Never met a match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, 'cause you know I was born. I tell you I was born for this. Ain't nothing gonna stop me now. I was born for this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to coverage of the Northwest Racing Series, simulcasted on iRacing on LSRTV and on the Community Radio Network, 87.9 FM. Good evening to you one and all. Happy Thursday night to you. We are ready to go here at the virtual Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Should be an exciting race. We saw the Cup cars here a couple of weeks ago. They did not disappoint. I think the trucks are going to do the same thing as well, with kind of a different little vibe as these machines are ready to go here for their contest. Good evening. I am Wesley Outland in North Carolina, joined alongside California's Samuel Dyer. We are the weekly voices of the Northwest Racing Series. As always, running the boards in Texas at the LSRTV Rocket Media headquarters is Charles Wooten. Samuel, Road America, road course racing. This is going to be very fun, obviously coming off the heels of COTA last Thursday night. What an exciting race that was. Ready to see if Ryan Bloom can try to go for two in a row. But, of course, these trucks are going to have a very different, unique road course to take on in virtual Wisconsin this evening. Good evening to you.
Yeah, it's our third road course of the season where we've seen two other drivers trying to get into victory lane. Paul Newton did so back a few weeks, almost a full month back now, back at Sonoma. And then a week ago, got to see that Ryan Bloom find himself get his first win at that of COTA, first win in the Northwest Series, Cup or Truck. Good to see, good heartfelt story last week, Wesley. Tonight, it's going to be a handful. I know I was a part of the coverage for the Cup Series when they were here at this track. That was a madness and chaos all over the track for the whole entire lap duration that happened during that race. I think tonight might see a very similar thing with a little bit of a smaller field than usual.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. It was very exciting. These guys put on an awesome job here at Speedville, the nickname of Road America, and we look forward to seeing what these guys can do here tonight. Let's take a look at the race analysis for this evening with the trucks at Road America. Of course, weather conditions actually up first to 74 degrees, the air temperature. Wind speed, comfortable at 4 miles an hour. Track temp is very warm. Obviously, we talk about it a lot in short track or oval course races, road course racing. What's that going to be like for the track temp for these trucks today here at Road America? Partly cloudy skies, Samuel. The sun poking in and out, but right now, sun bellowing over Road America, but chance of cloud cover along the way. What's that going to do to these trucks, you think?
Yeah, it's going to really turn this racetrack, already so abrasive on the tires, it's going to make them even more, going to turn this racetrack with how hot it is into a true cheese grater on the fact that these drivers have to really get hard on the brakes. But the partly cloudy aspect and the fact that the wind is only at 4 miles per hour to 5 miles per hour and it's been shifting back and forth means that when we do get cloud coverage over this racetrack, it should stay for a little bit longer than usual. If there's a much bigger of a gust, cloud coverage really wasn't be there, and with the possibility of cloud coverage, means that this track could cool off by 5 to that at 10 degrees by the end of this race. But with it starting out as hot as it is, this is going to be a true test of will for these drivers to try to stay on track, where it's usually here at Road America a very difficult track at times to stay on course just because of how narrow this track can be.
129.54 miles the distance for tonight's race, round 15. for the Northwest Racing Series trucks at Road America. That's tonight's distance of 32 laps around this road course. Qualifying underway. 2020 Truck Series champion of Sean Breitzman on the course. And by the way, I have now been informed that the Sim Racer Hub information is incorrect. It will actually be 35 laps the distance here tonight around Road America. Sean Breitzman from Puyallup, Washington originally, now from Tucson, Arizona. The Brights Boutique entry, working his way through the S's, if you will, on this nice forced part of the racetrack. Sean trying to get himself a nice, decent lap on the clock.
And for Sean Breitzman, qualifying has been kind of the struggle point for this 46 all season long, really trying to find that aspect of consistency this season. And really, I think tonight could be that little form of consistency. Back last season for season 8, Sean Breitzman was one of our more consistent drivers at the road course. Been a real change up this season, still searching for one of those first wins here in the Truck Series, but we always know this 46 a threat at almost every track we go to.
2:14.015 seconds, the distance for Sean Breitzman on the clock, and he's good enough for second right now. Thunder Road, Budweiser, Chevrolet, Toby Ritters. We'll see what he can do in the 23 truck. To be honest with you, Samuel, the last couple of road course events that Toby has competed in, he's actually done pretty well.
Yeah, he's finished last week. Wasn't the best run for himself, 18th place, but Sonoma came away with a 12th place finish. Still searching for that first top 10 run in the trucks at a road course. And really, it's possible here tonight, especially with how difficult this track can be, especially on the early runs if drivers can find themselves into early troubles. If you can be consistent, you've got a good opportunity to finish well. And I think that's really on the eyes of most drivers. Stay on track, don't fall off. And this driver on screen, that Paul Newton in 27, a driver that's on our minds, it could be a threat to win.
Yeah, when you think of road course races on the Northwest Tour, hands down, you can always put Paul Newton in that caliber of drivers that could win. Obviously, some problems there as he worked his way off of that final turn, working his way now back up the hill of the NTT Data Chevrolet Bridge and coming back to speed across the start-finish line. Let's see where he ends up. Even though he was willing and dealing in sideways, he's now officially on the clock now. That was his warm-up lap. But again, Sonoma winner. Actually, he swept Sonoma, if you remember, Samuel. He won in the Cup and the Truck Series for the driver of the number 27. And we'll see what Paul Newton can do here in that truck. Obviously, one of those road course ringers here this evening. We'll see what kind of time he puts down. Right now, he's about 30 seconds in, going past the Sorrento Cheese Bridge, heading towards the S's backstretch part of Road America. And we'll see what kind of laps go on for him.
Yeah, and right now, for that of Paul Newton, his goal, the time to beat, is Ryan Bloom with a 2-minute and 13.447 time. We'll see if this 27 can do it again. 2 minutes, a little bit over 2 minutes in time for each lap. This is going to be a long race for these drivers, mentally and physically, having to be so precise on the brakes, throttle, and turning. They're going to be having themselves a real struggle. But I got to say, for Paul Newton, yes, we count him as a road racing ringer, but this season has been a complete elevation of all-around racing. Paul Newton's only had, I would say, about 3 races where he's been outside of a good run for himself. And when I say that, it's in quotations. I mean, you think back to Dover, he got 13th place there. Daytona to start the season off, he finished 17th. And then his worst finish being that of 37th at Richmond. And besides that, it's been 11th or better at every track so far. If he's been at a 1.5 mile track or shorter, besides that of Richmond and Dover, he's been inside of the top 10 practically.
Paul Newton willing and dealing through the forest, if you will, making his way back around here right now at 1:45, trying to get himself a run, a decent lap on the clock to try to run down Ryan Bloom. 2:13.45 the time to beat Sean Breitzman, Dan West Jr., Kevin Smith out of Walla Walla, Washington, currently the 4th spot. Robert Campbell in the top 5. And here comes Paul Newton off that final turn up the hill. Can he mount a charge? He better get some big speed as he comes to the front straightaway as he works his way across start finish. Will he be there? I think he did.
It's close.
It's close. He got it. 2:13.280. 2:13.28 to a 2:13.45. New fast time there. Wow.
That was incredible to watch that of Paul Newton. I mean, he looked good, especially with how fast he was looking right when he got to the base of the hill, started to climb. I was like, well, it's going to be certainly close on time, and he beats it out. A driver, though, on the opposite scale, who's looking for just a consistent run at road courses. Here comes Tyler King across the line, going to be aiming here for this first lap, trying to get inside the top 10. And with this time, it's going to be close, and it's going to be 7th for that of Tyler King.
Yeah, solid top 10 there, qualifying for the American Touch-Up entry number 21, Tyler King. A couple of more machines taking time here is, again, Samuel mentioned kind of a low car count, truck count tonight, only 17 entries, and we await Frank Harris and Caden Anderson to see what kind of laps they put down. As there goes the 21. Now, if I remember correctly, am I right, Samuel? Only 1 lap for qualifying because of the road course, right?
Drivers are enabled to go for 2 laps, but they've got to make sure that they do those 2 laps inside of the time given. Right now, Tyler King has to figure out how to finish this time and will not be able to do so with a poor exit at turn number 5. But these drivers, they had about 10 minutes in total to work with to finish 2 laps. Majority of the field did finish 2 laps, except for Paul Newton, who got our pole award, Dan West Jr., and also Tyler King. Everyone else able to finish out their 2 qualifying laps. Frank Harris, Caden Anderson didn't even attempt.
Yeah, we'll see what those guys do at the back of the pack, as right now 17 entries are ready to go. Kind of disappointing, because usually we do have 30-plus vehicles in normally our competition, or at least close to 30. And, you know, maybe some guys had things going on, plans, vacations. You mentioned big races going on. I know the Montana 200 is this weekend. That's a pretty big race up in the Northwest Pacific, and all those events going on. So maybe that's why we saw the fallout of not having the number of competitors that we usually have. 5:20 on the clock, and again, when they finally make the decision, the Northwest Racing Series officials will let that countdown clock move down to 10 seconds. And then the field will be gridded, ready to go here. Road course racing, a totally different animal than what we'll see on the normal regular speedways, if you will. Of course, we prepare for tonight at Road America. Then you've got Pocono, New Hampshire, Indianapolis all on the way. Very unique racetracks, very different racetracks. And as I say that, Samuel, qualifying is officially coming to an end.
Yeah, this is going to be our 3rd of 5 road courses this season, and we're excited to see how this one's going to go, but we're gridded. You hear the music. It's time to get rolling, Wesley.
Let's give you the starting lineup here tonight at Road America. Paul Newton, fast time. You saw it in qualifying on the pole, bumping Ryan Bloom. Winner last week, by the way, at Coda, row 1. Row number 2, we'll find Sean Breitzman, the 2020 Series champion, and the 2-time and defending Series truck champion from Shelton, Washington, Dan West Jr. in 55. Row number 3, we'll find Walla Walla, Washington, 00 Kevin Smith to the outside, Robert Campbell in the 54. Row number 3, row 4, Tyler King in 21, and to his outside, Bryce Beatty, good to see him back in the 70. Row number 5, Chris White in the number 6, the 2021 Northwest Cup Series champion. To his outside, the legend Carl Burke in the 53. That's your top 10. Row number 6, we'll find Noah. I'm sorry, go ahead, Samuel.
Well, I didn't know if we were going to continue with what we were doing with it being such a smaller field, but Noah Sherensky going to be in that of row number 6 with Jeff Stabnow to his outside. 2 drivers are just hoping to stay on track. The rest of the field really find these drivers want to be on track, with Toby Ritters in the 23, Clifford being right next to Bug Eyes, Aaron Cooper, and a 71 for row number 7. Row 8 brings us to Stephen O'Hare in the 41, and not qualifying, going to be that of Caden Anderson back here in row number 8 for that 37. And shotgun on the field, it's the 11 of Frank Harris, who's going to, again, one of the drivers just hoping to stay out on track. But Wesley, I do have an update. Tyler King has been dropped out of the server. We're hoping he can get reconnected in, but he could miss this first lap and could go a lap or 2 down before he starts rolling.
Is this the standing start, a rolling start? Wondering here, is the pace car is behind the start-finish line. Wonder if they're going to give them 1 lap to get to green, and they'll have 1 lap of pace. So, yeah.
I think we're going to pace for 1 lap.
We're going to pace for a whole lap around this racetrack. Holy cow. There's
really
that Porsche safety car.
I want to give you the in-depth feels of each corner.
I wonder if they're trying to wait to see if the 21 of Ryan King can get back in there. I don't think they are, actually, by the way. I think they're going to keep Tyler King out. He's got to try to get back in, but he might be a lap down or more. The field is rolling behind the safety car. The lights are off on the Porsche safety car, which means when they do come back around in a full lap around Road America, then they will take the green flag. Yes, Samuel, what are you thinking? Getting these guys ready to go? We got 18, 19 trucks, or 17, 18 trucks only. You don't want them to spread out. Hopefully these guys can stay in a pack real close with one another.
Yeah, I mean, our front four, based off of time, they look to be very close to one another. It's going to be interesting to see how they want to be attacking, as getting a look here at how this track is going to roll. Coming around turn number 3 now, heading down the long stretch. This is going to be a very important aspect of this race, especially on the exit of turn 3. A lot of drivers had issues at turn 1 and turn 3 at the start of our Cup race that happened a few weeks ago on Monday nights here for the Northwest Cup Series. But here for the trucks on Thursday nights, I'm also intrigued on how turn 5 is going to be. These drivers are going to take about a lap or two to truly warm up their tires and brakes to the fullest. That way they can attack each corner with the precision that they would like. But that means the first and second lap, there could be a lot of drivers locking up their tires, going into these corners, running into one another, or just throwing their races away and getting into any of these walls.
Just kind of seeing the, if you will, laps at slow speed around Road America, just to see how this this race course is. I mean, it's very exciting. It's very fun. Obviously, they're working their way now to what would be the back stretch part of the road course here. This race course, again, 35 laps the distance tonight. There will be a caution sometime before halfway. And again, Samuel, we know they're going to race to lap 35. That's the key here. There won't be no attempts at an overtime. They're going to race to lap 35, and I think that's something that you really got to look and take in consideration on your strategy, if you will, on pits and fuel and conserving, because you know all you got to do is go to lap 35. You ain't got to worry about 2 attempts at an overtime green-white checker.
Yeah, you're aiming towards lap 35. There's also the for sure full course caution that's going to come out, our competition caution between that of lap 12 to 17. That is the window for our competition caution. Now, that window has been really changing up between all the different road courses. It's a lot sooner of a competition caution than what we've seen at other road courses. So I'm interested on how well the driver's going to react to that, because we've given word that the fuel window for these drivers is around lap 16. So that's right in the middle of that comp caution. Got to be really making a decision there on when you want to come into pit road, as well as you got 1 fast repair, 3 extra sets of tires in pit road. So who's going to take tires or who doesn't?
Through the forest, Willing and Dylan around to the S's and making those final turns before they roll back to start finish here. And obviously you see the reason now, if you're watching or listening on the community radio network, of why we only have 1 caution at midway through the race, because obviously 1 lap under caution takes close to 4.5 minutes, if you will. Obviously the pole speed was a 2:14. It's 2 minutes and 14 seconds at full song. So you're looking at probably, Samuel, 4 or 5 minutes under caution. But that's about to be for the end as the pace car rounds the final turn. The Porsche safety car ducks on to the right-hand lane to pit lane. Here come the virtual warlords, ready to go. Round 15, up the hill, the Northwest Racing Series trucks. Paul Newton, the control truck, ready to bring them to the line. Ryan Bloom on the outside, winner last week at COTA. And ladies and gentlemen, you have a virtual race. 4 trucks right there, nose to tail. Green flag, Samuel Dyer, as they send it on the opening lap into turn number 1.
How aggressive do you want to be into the entry of turn number 1? Right now, it's going to be that Ryan Bloom feeling comfortable, confident, and pulling away. The rest of the drivers as well going to be feeling comfortable for themselves. Drivers that start on pit road, Tyler King, Carl Burke, they're going to be further back in the field, but right now, a little bit of pinching in the middle. Groove, you see that Robert Campbell, Noah Sterinsky. Hold on, everyone stays on track, and that's probably the most neat and tidy for turns 1 to 3 that we've seen all season long.
Rounding turns number 1 through 3, up down to the Sorrento Bridge. Behind that, everyone else single file. No one jumping out of line except a battle there between Newton and Breitzman, making everybody check up behind him. Chris White's in trouble. Chris White, Kevin Smith, both into the sand pit. And then they got plowed into 3 wide in a sandwich by Stephen O'Hare. And no caution. Remember that. No yellow flag.
And Kevin Smith locked up. Looked like that 0-0 stalled on trying to get refired. He's going to be all the way back in 17th, but you see the heavy damage on the 6. He's going to be scraped and battered and bruised. And engine blown for Stephen O'Hare. Oh, he's going to have to take a tow. That is at the worst place that you want to see an engine blow up.
And he's going to have to take a tow. That loses time. He goes on fast repair in the pit, Samuel, and he has to take a fast repair, which will also be kind of crazy to use in lap 1 of a race where there's 34 remaining.
Yeah, you don't usually want to be using your fast repair on lap 1, but that's why the drivers were given it just in case. Oh, Breitzman as well is going to be seeing that of Bryce Beatty. Let's go a little bit of dirt track racing. Jeff Stabnow imitating as well. All these drivers trying to maximize their speed, but in the grass, that's the worst place you want to place these trucks because they have no grip.
And what a save by Jeff Stabnow, also trying to get on the binders to miss all that crazy chaos going on in front of them. As he now falls back to the 8th spot, is Sarinsky. Breitzman now in front of them. And that's the way they will and they'll beating out the top 5. That's top 5 down through 9 right there. And you see a lot of aggressive passing going on just shy of lap number 1 up the hill. They come to complete the first lap.
And you also can see the orange machine all the way in the back of that shot. That's Tyler King. Started on pit road, already up to 11th. And this has been a great chart for himself, as there's been so many drivers having mistakes. The 21 easily is caught back up to the rest of the field as turn 1 into turn 3. Still side-by-side racing for those drivers trying to crack into the top 5.
They'll send it back into turn number 1. He's got Anderson in front of him by a truck length. King looks inside, driver left, driver right, trying to find that advantage. Chevrolet and Ford going on. Now, Sherwinski goes off into the infield grass. Betty Beatty's truck now keeps on going, but he gets bypassed everyone. Sherwinski now losing ground on the top 5.
Yeah, Sherwinski was trying to give a good bump to the 70 machine to get Bryce Beatty out of sorts. Didn't work out. Actually hurt the 96 more, but the hard braking zone into this of turn 5. Very much known for locking up or drivers getting back on the throttle too soon and spinning out on exit. Good job for themselves as they climb up, but oh no, it's going to be that of Paul Noon off track.
And Paul Noon at one time up in the top of the game, and now he falls all the way back to the 4th position as now 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th are all coming after him as they work their way in that straightaway off that corner, driver left.
And you're seeing these drivers trying to get set up and ready to go through the carousel as they come around. All that you're trying to do is just set up for these corners to figure out how you can maximize your speed. Through the carousel, you see this 46, the 70 of Bryce Beatty. And for Bryce Beatty, this is a great run for the 70 who's been struggling for most of the season, but right now has to try to not overdrive and run over that Sean Breitzman. Just try to hold on to this position, especially on the fact that we're coming up to one of the toughest corners on track, Canada corner. And Wesley, we've seen a lot of drivers struggle here at this spot.
Yeah, we certainly have, and we'll see how they go this time around. With Breitzman, there's Beatty. There is also Stabnow working their way through the Redwood Forest here through the S's at Road America, if you will, starting to make a run. Bryce Beatty, he sits as a sit and come after Sean Breitzman. Well, that goes on. Good run. Jeff Stabnow, the LSRTV CRN 4K Ford truck trying to close in. You're on board with him now. 2nd gear, 3rd gear. Hello, Blimp. Up high above Road America virtually. And they're about to put 2 laps on the board here. They're going back into turn number 1. Look at how fast he got up all the way to 4th gear, Samuel, from 2nd gear in just that straightaway on the front.
Another thing to watch out, though, is how fast he needed to get onto the brakes. Really, so much earlier than you would expect any of the other any of the cars that race on this track, like the GTEs that run at Road America, where you can really dive it deep into hard braking zones. But for these trucks that race like bricks, you need to get on the brakes a lot sooner, and hopefully you don't lock up these brakes. If you really lock up your tires and they become still and they are not moving while you're on the brakes, you will just slide. You're not slowing down, just like we see there for Beatty. Off track for the 70, and here's the opening for Jeff Stabnow going up the hill to turn 6.
And he'll take advantage of it, ready to go to driver left, coming through. Stabnow drops to the inside. You're on board with him. He now goes to driver right from the passenger side of the truck 70. All Beatty made with that little slip, but he still was able to get back in the gas and get back in front and not allow that Stabnow to get by him. But all the while, Jeff Stabnow ready to go after him for that number 6 position. While that went on, Samuel, as they worked into the Johnsonville-Speedville Bridge, going to the carousel again, as you mentioned. That allowed Breitzman to pull away from Beatty.
Yeah, and the big thing for Bryce Beatty is the fact that he's more so slowing down Jeff Stabnow. And I talked about how narrow this track feels, especially with how big these trucks are. Yeah, if you try to put yourself a little bit more left, a little bit more right, it could hurt you on the exit of these next corners if you try to go side by side, especially on these full throttle straightaways that are so bobbing and weaving into Canada corner. You can easily make one mistake. We saw that on lap 1 of drivers throwing their trucks into the grass. Don't want to be doing that, especially once you finally get heat into your brakes and tires. If you make any mistakes, Wesley, that could overcook your tires to where it's even more difficult to race on this track that feels like an ice rink already.
Yeah, it certainly does. We're working down 3 laps completed here, as Bloom is still the leader. Mind you, Ryan Bloom, the road course ringer last week at Coda, first career Northwest Racing Series win in Cup or Truck, Samuel. He's trying to now go for 2 in a row. We kind of mentioned it last week. You kind of get that first win, you get that taste of victory, and you want to be the guy to continue that momentum train. But look out behind you. Here goes Dan West Jr., our series champion of 2 years running, patiently, methodically reeling him in. Right now, 2 seconds back in second. Campbell third, as that's the way they go down into the S's up ahead.
I mean, we look at pure consistency at the 2 road courses we've ran so far. Ryan Bloom would be the picture-perfect driver for that. He came up second at Sonoma, won last week at Coda, and now in first place here at Road America. Ryan Bloom talked about it during his interview last week. He felt kind of upset on the fact that he didn't win at Sonoma and only was able to get second. This 25, I'd imagine his goal this season is to sweep as many road courses as he can.
Trying to get it done. Ryan Bloom right now up in front. There you see just the back of the tailgate of the number 25. Oh, Stabnow. Problems for the number 24. Stabnow off the pace. He's got a damaged front end, but he still goes on as Anderson and Ritters are after him.
Yeah, and that front end damage is going to hurt a lot, especially on these long straightaways for the 24. He's going to just get out of the way, go high, let that of Caden Anderson and others go low. And then based on this action and kind of body language of the 24, that is an underpowered running machine. And Jeff Stabnow, who has had so many misfortunes here at Road America, you just had a feeling that something awry was going to happen to the 24, and it happens here on lap number 4.
Yeah, it's just such a tough break. I mean, he just cannot seem to get a break.
Well, Wesley, I'm getting concerned right now with Jeff Stabnow being so underpowered on the straightaways. Toby Ritters was kind of getting a little jittery on where he wanted to place that 23, which gave Sherwinski an opportunity to almost throw it down the inside. This little bit of a clog up, if Jeff Stabnow doesn't go into the pit road, this could cause an incident into turn number 1 if these drivers keep as close as they've been. And oh boy, you can just see the 24. He's locking up on that front bumper, on the front brakes. He's just digging it down. But it looks like he'll stay out for another lap for Jeff Stabnow. He's going to test and see how underpowered this 24 is. Oh no!
Aaron Cooper. No, I'm sorry, it's 51.
54, that's Robert Campbell.
54, actually. Robert Campbell, my apologies. Robert Campbell, and he's kind of changed up a wrap job on his truck. He's not going.
And Robert Campbell, I mean, it was tough, difficult to tell the number with how much the dirt and dust kicked up, but certainly a great launch at turn number 3 down the long stretch, setting up for turns number 5. And even though Campbell made that mistake, got into the gravel, cost so much time, Paul Newton was not able to capitalize. He's going to try to do a switchback here on the exit of turn 5, but just not able to. Setting up, defending. Great moves here by Robert Campbell.
Yeah, not able to get it done yet. They weasel their way back around into the corner, coming off of that carousel, working in. Here comes now that battle. As you remember, Campbell had issues, so did Paul Newton earlier, a few laps ago now. And all the while, they settle in. 30 laps to go, mind you, working lap number 5 when they come to the line this time by. Probably around right before halfway will be the competition caution. That's all the while. There you see Chris White coming after Jeff Stabnow. Looks like Jeff Stabnow still under power, but a little bit quicker than what he was right now, Samuel.
Yeah, he's struggling right now for the 24. Wants to stay out there, and I think the big thing for Jeff Stabnow is he just wants to try to see if he can coast this 24 to at least the competition caution. Again, the competition caution, the window between lap 12 to 17 for these drivers, and that's coming to that lap. That's not at the end of that lap. It's coming to either to lap 12 or to whatever lap is in between lap 12 to 17. So these drivers at least have a window that they're aiming for. But for Jeff Stabnow, again, just each lap, I think it's just see how much can I defend and hold on, as that of Chris White, Carl Burke, both look like they might be a little bit faster, but just can't get underneath the 24.
Yeah, just can't seem to get it done. As you see, Stabnow, even though he's underpowered, is still continuing to hold off all of these drivers. Of course, there is the 53 of Carl Burke, the legend, as we call him. He's right in behind the machine of Chris White. That goes on, and here we go now with a battle for fourth, as now Breitzman and Newton go at it again. Newton will get around him.
And Paul Newton, again, made the major mistake with our pole sitter. Lap 2 goes off the track, falls back to that of 5th place, and now is just trying to figure out how to march his way forward. Last couple of laps have been off pace from our leader, but Paul Newton feeling like he's got at least the pace to be faster than that of Robert Campbell and also that of Sean Breitzman. But as I say that, really it's been the exit speed of these corners. The 27 is really struggling to get the throttle down on the exit of these corners, especially out of turn 3, where he's lost so many different battles between Campbell and just right there to Sean Breitzman.
5 laps in, Ryan Bloom still the leader. West second. There's this battle now for third is Robert Campbell as well. Sean Breitzman, Paul Newton, 4th and 5th. This going on the racetrack. There's Beatty behind him. And I have to say, Samuel, how about Tyler King? Coming off of the start of the race with issues, going in from the pits to the green. And by the end of the first lap, he has cracked the top 10. Still in that number 7 position, right behind these trucks, as Breitzman and Newton continue to battle.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for this Breitzman and Newton is how aggressive is Paul Newton going to be, or is he really worn down those tires? Again, talk about the weather is, oh boy, the 00 Ken Smith. Second major issue. First one struck on lap 1. Not able to slow down at turn 5. Then at the top of turn number 6. Same spot that Jeff Stabnow had his issue. 00 pancakes that front bumper and somehow does not have required damage, but you can tell, just like the 24, very much underpowered going through the carousel.
So the Walla Walla Washington native with bad damage. Of course, I think he's going to try to wait it out to try to get a fast repair whenever we get that yellow flag. As we got now Caden Anderson with problems, wrecking in the Redwood Forest S's, if you will. The Chevrolet, Harvest Chevrolet truck, badly damaged, but he still continues to go along in his number 37 RKM entry.
Yeah, I got to say, all that was for Caden Anderson was actually just getting loose on the exit of Canada Corner and then spinning around. Never hit the walls at all, didn't hit the tire wall. So the 37, no visible damage going to be given to the 37, but certainly tire damage. Overusing those tires with the spin and lockup, he's going to have to try to just salvage what he's got for himself. But right now, the battling that's going on, this is for 8th place. So you got that of Noah Sharinsky, that of Toby Ritters, also Carl Burke, and Chris White trying to all figure out how to get by this 96 that's been struggling with that turn 3 exit. It's been a struggling point all race long, but everyone else behind them also have been struggling there.
Roaring under the Sorrento Bridge, Sherwinski there in that number 96 machine. Got right there behind him, Ritters looking to the right side, trying to make a run through the rumble strips off the corner at driver left. Back up at speed again, losing ground is behind Ritters. I think Carl Burke. Burke just got a little sideways, but then he got right back into it again. Chris White follows them. Sherwinski loose again as they work their way off of turn number 5 and 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit of a wobble that they're dealing with, just getting into the throttle, and that wiggling motion is just going to build up more and more each lap that goes on by. Every time that you slide and see that tail end shimmy, that means you're putting more heat into the tires, which means it's just going to build up more and more each lap. Here comes Toby Ritters on the outside. That's a power move by the 23 if you can make this stick, but that's a very tough move to make on the outside. But the exit of the chicane, of the carousel, the 23, looking good, but it's Sherwinski who had the better preferred lane that holds the position.
Yeah, all this is going on as they continue the battle. Look at now Carl Burke Contact there with Ritters. They bonsai off of one another, and Ritters goes sideways and goes spinning. Front close into the barrier there through the Canada corner S's, if you will. And man, that's heartbreak for Toby Ritter. Man, oh man.
Talked about this with Toby Ritters when we were going through the grid. Just one of those drivers that needed to keep himself out of trouble into pit road. Sean Breitzman for himself. Interesting call by this other 46, but heavily damaged is that of Sean Breitzman. This looks like it might be an unscheduled stop due to damage reasons.
Pit stop unscheduled again. 7th spot right now, and dropping down the scoring pylon. And Jeff Stabnow going a little off-road recreation, saving that 24. Keeps it going right now into the top 15, if you will. 24 falling back. And of course, Kevin Smith with his issues as well. I would say this, Samuel, as I look at the scoring pylon, 7 laps in, we look at Beatty and King again fighting it out for 5th and 6th. Obviously, the highest climber of the race has to be Tyler King in the 21. And also, in some shape or form, every driver on the race course, with the exception of maybe Ryan Bloom and Dan West Jr., have had issues, problems, spins, damage in the early going here at Road America.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that we could have seen translating from the Cup Series over to the Truck Series is that we saw a very similar thing where it was every single driver in that Cup race that we saw almost a month ago on drivers just going off track, really struggling here just to find any type of grip. And a big reason for that is the elevation change, as well as some of these corners are deceptively, make it look like you can full throttle when you need to just give a little bit of a blip into these corners to make sure that you don't overshoot it or throw your truck into the grass. We've seen these drivers be over aggressive in the corners, or just lock up completely. Don't want to be doing that here on a road course, as we're only 8 laps in, coming to 9 here of 35, and also closing in on that competition caution.
And by the way, we are also at the top of the hour. We'll pause for 10 seconds of radio ID from Road America. This is iRacing on LSRTV and the Community Radio Network with the Northwest Racing Series.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
Back here at Road America, welcome back to our coverage. Still no yellow flag out as of yet. Remember, that will come right before halfway. Samuel Dyer, Wesley Outland back here with you at Road America. Round 15 of the Northwest Racing Series trucks. All the while, it's been Ryan Bloom leading the way. Dan West Jr. behind him, 8 seconds back, 17 seconds back, Robert Campbell. But here comes a great battle now that's heating up for 4th and 5th. Behind the top 3, Paul Newton, Bryce Beatty, truck that had problems at the start. Tyler King, Samuel Dyer is reeling them in. Your top 6 working down to the Canada corner.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Paul Newton, I'm getting concerned for this 27. Again, we saw him go off track and throw away his pole sitter positioning, and he's got a little bit of scrapes on that right side of the 27. I didn't think that it was hard enough damage to be making him this slow, but Paul Newton has been struggling on pace to really keep up with our front runners, and he has just been falling backwards into the clutches. And based off that last lap, Bryce Beatty should be able to make this pass quite easily, but I'm just getting very concerned for our pole sitter, and this is looking very scary for the 27, that he might even fall even further deeper into the field.
There is Caden Anderson, who has, by the way, got the top 10. He had problems earlier. Bryce Beatty, dirt tracks, a little sideways as the dust settles on that number 70 truck. All the while, they work their way back around here at Road America. Newton, honestly, Samuel, do you think he's kind of playing possum right now? He knows there's going to be pit stops. He knows there's going to be a caution before halfway. And honestly, you're just kind of waiting for the reset for the second half of this race, trying to go to the win.
I mean, I don't know if that's really the key here. I think Paul Newton just really, this is his struggling point. I mean, look at that. He just not able to slow down into these corners, and it's just a struggle. You see that front brake damage. What's hurting him is he's really getting tight into the entry of one corner, loose into another. He's just not able to really turn in comfortable and confident manners like he was back when he was putting down qualifying laps. So Paul Newton, he's just trying to find a new, rhythm and pace right now, but no one is really looking as good as Ryan Bloom is right now.
Watching them all working their way back around the racetrack. Again, we'll be 10 laps into this race with Ryan Bloom. There he is, the Boise State Broncos. Getting ready for football season to crank up here in the next month and a half. Samuel, I did an all-star football game last night that was on the community radio network, and that's just kind of got me giddy. I love my racing. I love my iRacing, but I love also doing different sports, and pretty excited last night to call some football. And, of course, he's a big Broncos fan of that 25.
Yeah, good to see Ryan Bloom doing so well. And, during the summertime, other sporting events getting prepared for the new year. It certainly is going to be interesting to see some of the new sports and how people are going to react. But speaking of coming up to the new year, we've got plenty of other stuff coming up to the new year. Want to also be announcing the No Excuse Sim Racing series coming back. Went on a little bit of hiatus, and it is coming back. Want to let drivers know it's coming back for the new year of 2023. Crazy to think that is coming up here in we're just past halfway of the year. And for these drivers, next week, you're able to register to try to join the new league for No Excuses Sim Racing, as they will be able to go to that of NESRacing.com to go register. Next week is when registration starts. Go get yourself your headshot submitted and your car number submitted so that you can get what you want. So you better go in quick before someone else steals your car number, as we are excited to see the new season coming around.
Yeah, no NES excuses, okay? Join the No Excuses Sim series. No NES excuses.
No excuses.
He said, I was just trying to be a little funny. All right, the No Excuses Sim series. Whoa, right. Oh, our producer's getting in there. Whoa, the leader's in trouble. Ryan Bloom, no excuses in the gravel trap.
And just like that, Dan West Jr. is going to be closing in, but there's the 55. That whole entire gap that was over 10 seconds, it is gone, and it's down to 3 seconds and less. Dan West Jr., because of the fact that he was able to exit the corner so much better, it's going to be close to almost 2 seconds by the time they enter turn number 5. And Wesley, it's all into tires. How bad did Ryan Bloom torch them sliding through that course as well? We're closing in on when the competition caution window is going to open up.
You're exactly right. And, of course, we do not know the lap that when they'll call for the competition yellow. But obviously Jeff Stab now in trouble again. Kevin Smith clearing him. There is Toby Ritters trying to get back in the game in the number 16 spot. Jeff Stab now all the way in the 15th position. And these are trucks, Samuel, that at one time in the race were all the way up in the top 10.
Yeah, at one point they were looking good, but obviously struggles have hit them, and now it's just survive and make it to the competition caution and try to use one of your fast repairs. Already have seen 2 drivers use fast repairs this evening. Going to be that of Sean Breitzman, who's up to 11th after coming into pit road, and Stephen O'Hare, who had to take the tow, currently almost a lap down, about to be a lap down if this competition caution doesn't come out here on this lap. The 41 is in trouble, but those are your 2 drivers that have used fast repairs. Won't be surprised if we see at least 4 to 5 drivers all use their fast repairs at the competition caution.
Yeah, and we've seen some of these drivers, Samuel, that honestly that are all badly and damaged and mangled, and they're just trying to just wait it out. Trying to stay out there damaged, but just try to wait it out and see if they can get that fast repair. Because honestly, I've said this, Samuel, as we watch Carl Burke, and wow, Ryan Bloom, unscheduled pit stop, do you think, maybe on lap 11, Samuel?
Well, this could be a scheduled pit stop again. This is right around the window of pit stops. That right around the window of our competition caution. So Ryan Bloom might be thinking about coming to pit road, get some service done, and then be able to stay out until our competition caution comes out, while other drivers have come into pit road. They can stay out, keep that track position, as C71 of Aaron Cooper heavily damaged after being involved with some damage. As Ryan Bloom finally gets into his box, question is, will he take 4 tires and fuel? That is exactly what the 25 goes for.
4 tires, fuel behind the safety car Porsche on pit road. And Ryan Bloom down and away, making sure he doesn't make any mistakes as he comes off the pit lane. And obviously, now Ryan Bloom will fall all the way back to the number 8 position, which honestly, Samuel, that's really not that bad because he knows all these trucks in front of them, they're going to have to pit, and he'll cycle back up to the lead.
Yeah, I mean, if Ryan Bloom can get past Carl Burke, he can put down some very fast lap times if other drivers have to come into pit road beforehand. Now, the window we were given for fuel for some of these drivers, now that's on the middle to lower end of these drivers, was around that of lap about 15 coming to 16 was the window on fuel. So for some of our fast drivers that are running anywhere from 2 to 3 seconds faster than the other drivers around them, could be even sooner than that they have to come to pit road. Ryan Bloom, got to remember, he was running much faster than the rest of the drivers until he made that major mistake that allowed Dan West Jr. to close in on the gap. Could have been the fact that Ryan Bloom felt like, I need to just come in, I'm going to have to pit sooner than everyone else, let's not lose any more time, and that's why he made this pit stop. While everyone else, if we stay green, they have to come to pit road in the next 3 to 4 laps.
There's Paul Newton. He sits in that Ford number 27 in the number 3 spot. He had problems earlier in the race. Obviously, Robert Campbell has moved to second. Dan West Jr. up to the lead. Right there, you just saw a glimpse of the 54 truck of Robert Campbell. New wrap job again on his machine. And again, he had problems earlier in the race. We've seen Newton, he had issues. Beatty had problems in the beginning. He has rallied back into the top 5 and 4th. See him dirt tracking again coming off the corner. Working up the hill here, coming off of the Canada corner, if you will, up the hill, back to the front straightaway. And another lap in. We're in that window of some time within the next 10 laps. We can see the yellow flag fly. And of course, remember, lap 18 will be halfway of this 35-lap contest. Here comes Chris White. He's on pit road to the Toyota.
Curious if Chris White's going to use a fast repair for himself, as we've seen, again, a couple of other drivers already use their fast repair. Aaron Cooper, when he came into pit road a lap ago for the 71, he used his fast repair. And for the 6, we'll wait and see if he a completely brand new wrap job or if he's going to stay with the scraped up machine as he gets himself prepared for pit road. As a couple of other drivers really been struggling here in these last couple of laps. Noah Sharinsky as well as Jeff Stabnow, they have been really having troubles at Canada corner, and a couple of other drivers as well struggling at those points as see a car get towed in. That's the 71 of Aaron Cooper Wesley. And it looks like the 71 could be done as that of Chris White did use his fast repair.
That's a heartbreak, by the way, Samuel, for Aaron Cooper, man. Aaron had a pretty strong run last week, if you remember. He's kind of been doing really, really better the last couple of races before our summer break. And besides that runner-up finish to Cole Raz in the Cup race at Daytona, been kind of a dismal year for Bug Eyes in the 71, and it looks like it will continue here again tonight at Road Americans. Now we see Billings, Montana native Jeff Stabnow onto the pit lane. Fast repair is coming. Good as new for the LSRTV CRN 4K Ford, and obviously this is scheduled on lap 12.
Yeah, and now going to be coming into pit road and getting service done is that 24, which is going to be adding another driver to using their fast repair. Still, there's about that of a handful of other drivers I'm expecting to use their fast repair once they either come to pit road or at our competition break. Now, I talked about it at the top of the broadcast. When that competition caution comes out, it's coming to that lap. So it's going to be the last possible moment for these drivers is lap 16 coming to 17 is when that yellow flag will wave. It's not at the end of that lap like some other racing action can be. As here's the pass for third, Bryce Beatty with a great launch through the front stretch.
Yeah, another great launch by Beatty there is, you know, somewhere, somehow, sometime, they're going to have to pit themselves. As, of course, Beatty now getting around Newton for the number 3 position. Couple of Fords battle there, the 70 and the 27. 13 laps in. Burke is on the pit lane, the legend of the 53. He is pitting. All this going on is here comes now, yes, Carl Burke. I just saw it on my scoring telemetry, and now you see it on the broadcast monitor. He is on pit road in the 53. Hey, shout out to Outdoor Cast Iron Cooking. He is tuned into the broadcast. Always good. Thank you for the past of sponsoring some of our iRacing Northwest coverage. And thank you for checking out the coverage tonight. And he does comment. Sure good to hear some familiar voices. Go, Big Daddy 53, Carl Burke. And we appreciate him tuning in, Samuel, as he's put up pit road.
Yeah, and Carl Burke going to be using his fast repair. And I got to say, for Carl Burke, been a pretty solid run for the 53 machine. He's trying to go for that top 10, potentially a top 8 to 7 finish with some of the struggles we've seen from other drivers. I'd see a couple of other drivers call it a night here early as Aaron Cooper. We saw him have to take the toe to pit road. He has officially called it a night first DNF. Going to be the 71 of Aaron Cooper.
Oh, Jeff Stabnow. Problem, pitting, and I think he's out. That is so heartbreaking for 24, Samuel.
And he's one of those drivers that just used his fast repair like Aaron Cooper, and he will be our second official DNF of the night before we got to our competition caution. And I talked about that Canada corner. That has been the most notorious corner for Jeff Stabnow, and it strikes once again to the 24.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking for him. And now you see Bryce Beatty under attack. Paul Newton looking for that number 2 spot, third. He got him, got back around him, as it looks like the 74 of Bryce Beatty, as slow on pace he's become, Samuel. I'm thinking he's getting ready to come to the pits. I think the 70's probably getting ready to make a pit stop here. And there he goes. That was why I noticed him peel off on speed. And obviously up the hill he goes. And mind you, here's something to think about, Samuel. That same hill that you've got to climb at start finish, you have to also do going to the pits. So that can really control you from not getting a speeding penalty on the pit road.
Yeah, you're trying to, maximize on your speed going up the hill, but at the same time, you're hoping that you don't get caught speeding. And what's interesting is the pit limiter line of once you go over the speed limit for these drivers is actually in the middle of coming up the hill, which that speed limit for these drivers is 45 miles per hour. You got to stay consistent, either at 45 miles per hour or under is what you're aiming for. Can get a black flag for speeding, and that is not what you want to have at all. As the 70 machine gets repairs done, tires, fuel, get ready to get rolling. There goes Bryce Beatty. Did not use a fast repair. That's a big thing for the 70 machine. So if they get caught up in any other incidents, the race is not done.
Whoa! Caden Anderson in trouble. Wow.
Right in front of Shawinski. That's a big thing for Shawinski to hold on. That's a terrifying moment to see. But Caden Anderson just over aggressive on trying to get back under the brakes and throttle at the same time. So that rear end kick out. Great save by the 37.
And Shawinski, as you mentioned, as they go under the Sorrento Bridge, quickly on the binders. Sargento, I'm sorry. It is my favorite cheese. Charles is in my back in my ear cussing me out, people. It is. I like Sargento too. Here we go. As Sarinsky and Anderson go again. All this going on inside the top 10, 8th and 9th. And Samuel, I don't think they've pitted yet either.
For these drivers, they have not. Bryce Beatty is going to be the first driver of those that have pitted in this group. There's still a good margin of drivers that need to come to pit road, but you also got to be thinking, Wesley, we're running out of time for these drivers. They've only got 2 more laps before this competition caution is going to have to be forced to come out. And right now, 20 laps to go. This is the lap that the competition is going to come out because it has not come out to this point. And now for these drivers, they got to hope that they get to pit road, because if they haven't, they might run out of fuel before they can get to pit road.
So we're thinking sometime on this next lap, the yellow flag's going to come out, obviously.
Yeah, whenever the 55 crosses the line, that is when the yellow flag's going to come out, because this is the time of the lap, and never mind, it comes out now for these drivers.
Yeah, it's kind of a little prematurely. There you go. They call for the caution here. And the yellow's out. Well, if anybody was worried about possibly running out of fuel, they're saved by the bell, because obviously they don't have to go that fast under caution. So that concerns it a little bit.
They're still at that limit, though. They've got to be careful on those that maybe have just crossed the line, that they still need to make sure they can coast their way to pit road.
Well, caution is out. 20 laps to go. 15 laps in. There's the leader. Oh, my goodness, Samuel, what would it be for Dan West Jr. to get back to victory lane, man? I mean, let's be honest. He hasn't won a race since da-da-da-da-da. None this year. Devin West has. He won a truck race. But Dan West Jr. has not won a race this season for the number 55. So in Cup or truck, so that'd be pretty cool to see him come back to victory lane. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, for the 55, I mean, for the whole entire LSRTV team, it's been Devin West that found himself into victory lane. Dan West Jr. has been trying in the truck series. John Ottenbacher has succeeded, but I think the two drivers we expected to really come into the season and thrive like they've done before is Dan West Jr. and Sean Breitzman, two drivers that really haven't found themselves into victory lane this season and struggling to really get to that point. They've really made some major mistakes. They've had some good runs throughout the season, but tonight for that of Dan West Jr., he's got to make sure he can figure out how to beat out that of Ryan Bloom, and Bloom potentially could stay out. I'm most likely going to have to come to pit road this go around for that of the 25, but this is going to be interesting because it's going to be 20 laps to go. Even if you come into pit road now, you cannot make it to the end from this point.
So if your strategy has put you in this predicament, you know that you're going to have to pit again before this race ends, basically.
Yeah, that is Barney the flagman waving that yellow flag. Certainly these drivers all recognizing it's around that of lap 7 with 17 to go. So to that of 16 to go, that is the window you're looking for the majority of these drivers.
So I have a question. Do you think we'll see anybody that might maybe try to peel off at 1 to go, Samuel, and maybe try to top off the tanks, splash and go, and get back out there on the racetrack and try to go to the finish? Yellow flag.
Yeah, I'm expecting the majority of these drivers to try to do that strategy, especially in the fact that it's going to be that close to the end. I think the majority of these drivers are hoping to do that. And no one has gone into pit road yet under pacing because we've been so slow, and they had to catch up to the pace car first before going into pit road. So this lap is going to be the first lap for drivers to come in. And the majority of these drivers are going to most likely come into pit road this time. And then the next lap, they're going to try to top off on fuel, and then we'll get ourselves rolling. It should be around 17 to 16 laps to go.
And nobody has pitted yet. Obviously, they're behind the toe of the Carrera Porsche safety car. We await for Dan West Jr., Robert Campbell, all of these guys in the back. Obviously, I've got a couple of cars a lap down, or truck a lap down, but they're already out of the race. That includes Aaron Cooper and Jeff Stabnow. Those machines out. Carl Burke 1 lap down. Obviously, when the caution comes out, he'll cycle back around to get his lap back. So that'll put 15 trucks on the lead lap, Samuel, when we come back to green. What are you thinking? 16 to go when we go back to the green flag, maybe 17 to go?
Maybe 17 or 16 around that window. It really matters on when these drivers, if they're allowed to come into pit road, and if the lights go out this time or next lap. And they caught up to the pace car this lap. There's a potential chance of them going this go around, but there's also going to be only that is Stephen O'Hare who's going to get the wave around. And so I think we should be all right. And bad news for drivers further on back. Carl Burke called in a night early for the 53.
Oh, wow, that's heartbreaking for the legend, and now he will fall as third truck out of the race. So a tough break there for the 53. So now only 14 trucks remain. Resetting them here. 19 to go. Obviously, when they come back through the Canada corner part of the track, working their way back up to turn number 13 and 14, they will come back up here and make their way up the hill to start finish. And obviously we are going to see green flag pit stops coming up. There has to be for a lot of these drivers. We'll cover those pit stops for you. Samuel, what's your first take of the race so far, man? What are you thinking of it here so far at Road America?
I mean, it's been a pretty interesting race so far. I mean, Ryan Bloom, also Paul Newton, two drivers we expected to really thrive here this evening, both having their own separate issues. Paul Newton's had the biggest issues so far is right now in third. That of Ryan Bloom decided to come into pit road under green flag racing. Interesting call by the 25. This is when things get even more interesting. Who stays out? Who comes into pit road?
And the cavalry is in. Obviously, trucks that probably pitted early are staying out. Here come the leaders in, including Dan West Jr., Robert Campbell, Paul Newton, Tyler King, Ryan Bloom, Frank Harris, Noah Shurinsky, Caden Anderson, Kevin Smith, Chris White, Toby Ritter, Samuel. The cavalry is coming to the pits. It's the money stop here at Road America with 18 to go.
Yeah, majority of the drivers in pit road, two that did not. That's Sean Breitzman and Bryce Beatty. Sean Breitzman, interesting call by the 46, who came into pit road 10 laps ago. Most likely for Sean Breitzman, he's thinking that this race, we're going to need at least one pit stop under green flag racing, so he'll stay out to make that one pit stop as Dan West Jr. comes out first of all those that came into pit road.
And here comes the cavalry working off of pit lane. Dan West Jr. in first, out first. But the thing we're thinking, Samuel and I both mind melding virtually here, we're thinking a lot of these trucks are going to pull in on the one to go and splash and fill up those tanks to go to the shootout. We're going to step away, take an extended commercial break. We're back from Road America in just a moment. This is the Northwest Racing Series, iRacing on LSRTV, and for those that are listening on the Community Radio Network, 87.9 FM. Hey, it's broadcast personality Wesley Outland, and for the second year in a row, the Community Radio Network is excited to also be the voice of iRacing on LSRTV every Monday and Thursday night with the Northwest Racing Series for Cup and Truck. Join yours truly, Justin Prince and Samuel Dyer, every week as they race towards a championship. We're also on the radio in the Triangle in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area at 87.5 WCRN and anywhere worldwide at wearecrn.com. Click play. Check out the coverage, the power of radio to the imagination of the listener, esports style. We are the Community Radio Network, the voice of iRacing on LSR TV. Check it out when you can, and replays are always up too. It's broadcast personality Wesley Outland up topside at one of the great racetracks of the world, the Caraway Speedway. And I'd like to remind you to join us every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern with coverage of Finish Line, where we talk to everybody from NASCAR to grassroots, like right here at Caraway Speedway. Carolina's Fox Sports Radio affiliates, iHeartRadio, and on the Community Radio Network at 87.5 FM. And remember, thanks to Live Sim Racing Productions, you can actually see the guest panel, ask their questions, get interactive with us with comments and so much more in our chat box. Finish Line every Wednesday. Join us every week. Working through Canada Corner at Road America. Welcome back to coverage. All right, Samuel Dyer, I'm Wesley Outland. We've got the awesome work behind the scenes of the man, the myth, the legend, and the lover of Sargento cheese, Mr. Charles Wooten, handling the production. Samuel? I think our producer's eating cheese while we speak. Samuel, obviously one to go. I think this time by, I think we're starting to see trucks start to peel off. We saw one, maybe any more takers. Here comes Chris White. Some others making this prediction, we believe, but for the most part, the front runners are not doing that.
No, and I think I'm more surprised by the fact that Sean Breitzman and Bryce Beatty both didn't come in. Again, they were drivers that came into pit road under green flag racing before our competition caution came out. So most likely they're probably feeling like even if we came into pit road now, we would not be able to save enough fuel to make it to the end. So we're going to have to make a green flag pit stop, or they can go with a very odd strategy, and right when they're about to go green, right when the pace car pulls off, they pull off into pit road. There's a lot of different strategies that can be thrown out, but for the drivers that came into pit road, Dan West Jr., Paul Newton, Campbell, Ryan Bloom, third back to sixth, Those are your drivers to watch out for. How aggressive will they be, or is it going to be fuel saving for every single lap? And remember, one lap around here is 4 miles. To save 1 lap of fuel takes a whole entire run. So that's what the drivers are going to have to do, is try to figure out how to save 1 lap of fuel to make it to the end.
Yeah, you've got the names like the Moraine Sweep off of turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, the straightaway. Moraine Sweep, but then they go into what is known as the Hurry Downs to turn number 7, 8, 9 to the Carousel. Then they go from the Carousel to the Bend to the Kirk, but they only stay on the straight part of this race course. They don't go around that part of the track. Then they move their way to the what you would know as the Kettle Bottoms, so 11 to 12, down to Canada Corner, as I call the Redwood Forest, and the S's to Thunder Valley, the Bill Mitchell Bend, back around to turn 14. All of that is some of the names and the analogies that are used here at the famed Road America. And I tell you this, if you ever get a chance to go up to Wisconsin, check out Road America. Even if they don't even do a race event there, if there's not like a racing event scheduled, there's a racing event scheduled, then yes, go there. But just to be able to see the layout and see it in person, Samuel, it definitely is worth the trip just outside of Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a unique track, and it's kind of known. A lot of people say this is one of the best racing tracks in North America to go to, and I mean, it proves it. It's so difficult for drivers to handle, but when you find a driver that really can figure out how to sling their vehicle around this track, it is so fun to watch. And, you know, seeing Ryan Bloom dominating the way that he is, I'm interested to see what other strategies could get some of these drivers into victory lane tonight.
We be ready to bring it to you here. It'll be 16 laps to go when they get ready to come back to the Geico restart zone here as the Porsche safety car gets ready to wheel and deal around here to Canada Corner off of Thunder Alley one more time. Hello to Russ Lundberg. Aaron Cooper, tough break there for you. I see you're checking us down with the chat box, and we appreciate your continued support of always the series. And remember, next week, Samuel, we are off to Pocono for the Cup and the Truck Series next Monday and Thursday night.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to watch. Wesley, I've got some crazy news right now. Ryan Bloom disconnected from our team speak. He is just about to get disconnected from the race. The driver that was dominating in our favorite to win tonight has now changed from Ryan Bloom to maybe Dan West Jr., Paul Newton. This race is wide open with Ryan Bloom being disconnected.
This just opened the door for anything. Now, Samuel, can Ryan try to get back in?
He can try to get in, but we're about to go green. Even if he gets back into the race, he's going to have to start on in-pit road, which is already going to be put him so far back where it's almost going to feel impossible. We're about to go green, and he has not officially been disconnected. Then he has to get reconnected. This isn't good, but it's time to go racing, Wesley.
Safety car is in. Here comes the cavalry up the hill. Green flag goes back in the air. 16 to go at Road America as they come back across the Geico restart zone. Green flag in the air. Nobody took the opportunity for a splash and go. What you have is what you have. They race it out the most 3 wide behind the top 2 into turn 1.
Trying to figure out how to outbreak one another. It's going to be Bryce Beatty in the 70, but will he go too high? He's wobbling his back in and right in front of the 55 of the rest of the field. They're going to survive, but Dan West Jr. did get contact for the front bumper. The 70 takes the toe to pit road, but Dan West Jr., one of our favorites, now has damage. This is throwing everything out the window. We got fuel mileage to worry about, and now one of our other favorites is heavily damaged.
And Sean Breitzman smiling like a red rose to come out to the lead. And he has a 2.5 advantage over Dan West Jr. DWJ now holding off the likes of also Paul Newton, Caden Anderson, Robert Campbell, your top 5. They work their way around in the corners, coming to the carousel in front of you there, Samuel.
I'm looking at this field. I'm looking at where drivers are at. Robert Campbell in this 54 is looking mighty fine in where he's been running. Yes, he's had one miscue of going off track, but he's been one of the most consistent drivers so far. Paul Newton's gone off track. Caden Anderson, I know he's going to go off track at some point just based off his over-aggression at road courses. And then you know Paul Newton's been struggling. He had to use a fast repair. The 27 maxed out. Our pole sitter feels like he's at the best he's been running all night long. But for Sean Breitzman, who's leading this race currently and is trying to pull away, big thing to watch out for. He is gonna have to come to pit road here, Wesley, in about 5 to that of 8 laps. He will not be able to make it to the end of this race because he did not come to pit road during our comp caution.
Wow. Now, if all this is going on, do you think it's not smart for him to have such a big lead over everybody, or is that smart to get a big lead so you can be able to come to the pits and have some type of margin over the field?
Well, what's the difference here is that Sean Breitzman, he is pushing aggressive because he knows he has to come into pit road, while that Danwich Jr. and everyone else behind this 46 are thinking about saving fuel to try to make it to the end of this race. Again, the rest of the field, they've got to figure out how to save 4 miles of fuel under this racetrack while also trying to be competitive with everyone else to make sure that they can make it to the end. While Sean Breitzman, he's trying to gap as big of a lead as possible so that when he comes into pit road, he is full song, fully full of fuel, fresh tires, and tries to attack everyone else on track.
But I'll be honest with you though, Samuel, and you and I both know this in our years of covering the Northwest Racing Series for either Cup or Truck. We know the type of gambles and crazy strategy Sean Breitzman will do. He will push it to the limit. He will even try to stay out there, and we've seen times where we know he's got to pit. Somehow, some way, he conserves fuel, saves fuel, and he pulls an upset win.
And now Paul Newton's going to be able to make the pass here on Danwich Jr. potentially here, diving it down low into turn number 5, and the better positioning into 27. Back into the throttle is good. Caden Anderson in 37. Who's going to try to make the pass on the uphill to turn 6. Got to be careful. This is the same spot Caden Anderson had issues earlier in this race, and whoo, that 37 is making me nervous, and he always does at road courses. That aggressiveness works out great at ovals, but at road courses, it can backfire in an instant. And speaking of backfire in the 00, Kevin Smith, out of shape.
Yeah, Kevin Smith out of shape, but still in trouble. Just smacked the front nose of the inside. Safer wall barrier if you're there in the truck. Damaged on the front, but still continues on. The Walla Walla Washington driver stays in the top 10, but losing ground on everyone else now.
That wreck could have been a lot worse for the 00. Actually, I think almost the majority of that damage went to the rear end of the 00 of Kevin Smith, so he's still able to run. Oh, I take that.
Oh, he's in trouble again.
Well,
still, oh, man.
And you get a snowball and it starts rolling, and sometimes it just gets out of control and gets too large to even come back from. And I think for Kevin Smith, it has hit that brake as he is now going to be in 10th place. Luckily, he's going to be almost a full minute over Toby Ritters. But that 10th place spot, if the 00 can survive, is looking good as we move back up to the battling for 4th place as well for 5th, as that of Robert Campbell trying to close in the gap. But I think the consistency should be the key here as the battling also for the lead. That gap's starting to shrink. Paul Newton, since he's gotten in front of Dan West Jr., is closing in on Sean Breitzman.
Paul Newton, you're on in the 27 Ford. He sits at the number 2 spot now. There was the leader down at the bottom of your screen. Sean Breitzman, you just saw a little glimpse of him there. Gone. Nothing but the tailgate for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th on back trucks of Newton, West, Anderson, Campbell. And all this going on now. This race completely just threw a monkey wrench. Ryan Bloom, any update, Samuel? He's pretty much out of the race, isn't he, bud?
He is out of this race. He officially got disconnected with packet loss to the server, and he has not attempted to come back into this race. If he does attempt to get back, he might be able to get at least 1 to 2 positions, with Bryce Beatty already disconnecting from the race as he is done. And with Frank Harris being so slow, there's opportunities, but I would say Ryan Bloom is done for tonight.
Yeah, some other drivers that are joining him on attrition include, again, earlier Aaron Cooper, Jeff Stabnow, Carl Burke, and now Bryce Beatty. 5 trucks now out of this race, joining Ryan Bloom just a moment ago. 14 to go. Here's Robert Campbell. Had some problems early in the race, Samuel, but he's climbed his way back into the top 5 in his Chevrolet. A couple of Chevrolets there behind your leader of Sean Breitzman in the Ford of Newton in 2nd.
I mean, this has got to be one of the better runs for Robert Campbell as we ride on board with Dan West Jr. here, heading into Canada Corner after going through that of Kettle Bottoms. And right there, backing off quickly, out-braking was Robert Campbell, who got very aggressive. And the big thing here, Dan West Jr., kind of see the crinkleness on his hood, but that hard contact that he got with that of Bryce Beatty on that restart with 70 spinning out on the exit of turn 1. that damage has hurt this 55, and what was looking like a potential chance to win tonight now looks like survival mode just to finish inside of our top 10.
Tonight, road Atlanta, 35 laps, round 15 for the series, of course. We move on to Pocono next week. Then we go into the wrapping up of the month of July at New Hampshire. Indianapolis, Michigan, all on the way into August. Samuel, it is hard to believe, my friend, that this season, this year in general, has flew by.
Yeah, how are we on round 15? I don't. It
It's
felt
amazing.
like we started like 5 weeks ago. It's crazy to think. I mean, I still remember seeing John Ombacher winning, the season opener, let alone seeing the rest of these finishes. And what's even crazier is you look at some of the drivers that have won this season. I mean, that of Kevin Smith's got 2 wins this season. You think of Caden Anderson and Cole Raz, they've had some good runs so far. That of Dennis Moore has been so consistent. He did not show up here tonight. This is going to be one of his drop races of this season, but I got to say, for that of Sean Breitzman, Jeff Stabnow, and Dan West Jr., they've been circled as the what happened to them drivers, because they went from dominating and looking so strong throughout the last couple of seasons to, I mean, yes, Sean Breitzman's up front, but he is not in a great strategy to go for a winning move here this evening.
Breitzman, Newton, Anderson, Campbell, King. There you see King right there. American touch-up entry. Problems earlier in the race, Samuel. I mean, he was literally gunning it when he come off the start gate with problems, and then he rallied in one lap, coming off of a start of the race in the pits to be climbing up the lap number, climbing up into the end of lap number 1 to position number 7, and he still sits comfortably in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler King had himself server and internet issues, missing the start after getting pushed out of the server. Was able to reconnect in on that first lap right before, because of how long that formation lap and getting ready to go, pacing lap was. The lap Tyler King to get back into the server, into pit road, and start there. Same with Carl Burke, that both started there for themselves. And got to say, for this 21, he's done a great job rebounding, moving forward, qualified in 7th place, excuse me. But Tyler King has done a great job just staying consistent, running forward. He's been running pretty similar lap times to Robert Campbell, and both those drivers aiming for a top 5 run for themselves. But for the lead, different story. Our pole sitter, after getting his fast repair, has been one of the fastest drivers on track and is looking good to go for the win here this evening.
That is Sean Breitzman, the leader, but all the while, here comes Paul Newton. We're knowing that obviously Sean Breitzman is going to have to pit. We're aware of that. Paul Newton is aware of that. He knows he can go the distance. But here's the deal, Samuel. You don't want to stretch it and overpower your truck and use up too much for the 27 to have his chance of running out at the end. He's got a bigger fuel tank left on the fuel than Sean Breitzman does, but obviously you've got to be conservative in making this pass on a truck that can't finish and is going to have to eventually pit.
Yeah, I mean, right now, also for Paul Newton, you got to remember on the fact that this 27 is going to be still a lap short from making it to the end. Yes, we were under pacing, but pacing only can save you about a half a lap. Paul Newton needs to save at least a half a lap of racing action here. So him being so aggressive to run down Sean Breitzman, yes, it's great on the fact that you're gaining time. Yes, you're hitting a great rhythm, but is he overusing his fuel? That's going to be the question to watch out for. Caden Anderson, I got to say, for who's back in third, great run for the 37. Yes, he's had his issues, but I'm surprised he's still in third place. I thought by now he would have already dumped this 37, but I think he might have been learning on the fact that he has been slowly getting better at not throwing this race away, but certainly he has always been super aggressive at these road courses. I think he might have finally found that calm button on that truck so he doesn't overuse that machine.
Oh, and by the way, he has the most incidents in this race so far of any other driver on course at Road America tonight for Caden Anderson, and to be able to get himself back on the podium in third, really good. While this goes on, battle for the lead as they work off start-finish. Back to turn number 1, it's Breitzman and Newton trying to run each other down. This goes on as they work into turn number 2 and 3.
And for Breitzman right now, he is now inside the window. In the next 2 laps, either this lap or the next, this 46 is going to have to come to pit road. This is just as far as he can push it. Yes, he was under pacing for so long trying to save fuel, but you can only save so much. So Sean Breitzman, he is now in the let's hold off the 27 for as long as I can before I need to duck it into pit road.
Coming up into the hurry downs area, the Marine sweep. Coming up to the carousel on the way. It'll be 10 laps to go, mind you, when they work their way back around as well. Sean Breitzman, Paul Newton, Anderson, Campbell, King, top 5, and right there at the top 4. Let's just say this, Samuel, the strategy that Sean Breitzman wanted to have of pulling away from everybody in a clinic before making that money stop or stop and go for fuel is not going to go as planned for the 46.
No, it's not going as planned, but it's still, I mean, he's showing some good speed in this 46. He's holding off Paul Newton, which is, if anything, it's helping Chris White back in 6th place for the 6 machine. I mean, he is one of the Chris White as well as Frank Harris were the 2 drivers that came into pit road that topped off on fuel coming to the 1 to go. So if anything, by holding off these drivers, could be helping the 6, but at the same time, could be actually helping Paul Newton try to pace himself. The 46 could be the pacer of, you know what, it might be running a little bit too fast. I caught up to you. Now that you're running a little bit slower, I'll run at your pace and I'll save some fuel while I'm running behind you as Caden Anderson and Robert Campbell aren't really closing in on this gap.
Yeah, and it looks like Paul Newton might be getting a little impatient as he about gave a shot to the tailgate of the 46 of Breitzman. Moves now to driver left. Peeking down to driver right as they come out of the Kennedy corner. Understanding Ryan Bloom has entered the game again. He is back on race course in 25. 5 laps down, 10 to go here at Road America, Samuel.
Yeah, not a winning
Here comes Sean Breitzman.
But Breitzman coming in to get himself fuel, tires, get back out on track. For Ryan Bloom, he's hoping for other drivers to have absolute fatal issues to connect. But right now, Breitzman hoping to gain as many positions back as possible. And now it's a waiting game, Wesley. 10 laps to go. Do these drivers... Oh, no, there's Frank Harris throwing that truck away. And that is exactly what Ryan Bloom wants to see, are drivers making those major mistakes.
Oh!
Caden Anderson's also going to be off track.
And Sean Breitzman overshot his pit stall in 46. Caden Anderson in trouble. He might have just parked it.
Anderson takes a tow. That is going to be an ender for himself for going for a good positioning run.
Wow.
Breitzman takes off, and it's all out the window. Who knows what's going to happen now? All noon, still, we don't know if he has enough fuel to make it to the end.
And remember, Sean Breitzman, he overshot his pit stall. He lost some time because of that. I don't think he took any tires, Samuel. It was just fuel only for the 46.
I mean, he took 4 tires and fuel. He wasted about 3 or 4 seconds on getting himself lined up. But at this point, as long as he's being aggressive and utilizing those tires to the fullest potential, he's going to still look pretty good. He's just in the battle for 4th place. Out of Robert Campbell, Noah Shawinski going to be on top of one another. Shawinski trying to get aggressive after being bullied around in the first half of this race. But again, all eyes got to be on Paul Newton. How much fuel can the 27 save with all the shenanigans that happened with Caden Anderson, that of the 11 of Frank Harris? Built up that gap, and now Tyler King only 5.5 seconds behind our leader. But here comes some aggressive drivers trying to build up some speed as Shawinski up to 4th.
Yeah, Noah Sharinsky just got around Campbell for that spot. Now put Chris White now on the podium to 3rd. How about King? Tyler King up to 2nd in the 21. Started this race in the pits. He's up to the 2nd spot. Don't count out the 21, especially, Samuel, if Paul Newton has issues. Chris White is on the pit lane. He can't go the distance with 9 to go here at Road America.
Which is interesting. Chris White was one of those drivers that came into pit road and was hoping that he could have enough fuel because he topped off. This might put a complete different look on the rest of the drivers out there on track as the 6 comes into pit road. I want to give a little update on Robert Campbell. Campbell was looking good. He has to come into pit road. He T-boned Caden Anderson when Anderson spun out and got wrecked. The 54 had nowhere to go and ran directly into the 37. That's why he fell so far back into the field. And now this is giving bigger openings. Tyler King, Noah Sherinsky, and now it's on the drivers that came to pit road for that one time, didn't top off. Can they save enough fuel? 9 laps to go. They got to save a lap and a half if they want to be good.
There is Campbell on the pit lane. Obviously, we're seeing this strategy completely go out the window for other drivers that were thinking that could go to the finish. Maybe they can't, or they have problems, or they wreck. They can't go. And now, obviously, all eyes on Newton, but here comes now Dan West Jr. climbing back into the top 5. Samuel, he is up to 4th. He's got Sherinsky in his sights, and also O'Hare behind them, your top 5.
Yeah, Noah Sherinsky made the pass on Dan West Jr. about a lap and a half ago, and now, Stephen O'Hare, who's involved with the lap 1 incident being squeezed and squished and had to take a tow back on lap number 1 on the exit of turn 5 to 41. Now trying to go for a top 5 finish, but this is around that window I was concerned about, Wesley. Where for these drivers? For Dan West Jr., he's running so slow with the front end damage for himself. That is Stephen O'Hare also running pretty slow. Noah Sherinsky not running as fast as our front 2. Questioning for Paul Newton and Tyler King, are they running too fast currently at this pace to be able to make it to the end, or have they found that sweet spot of time so they know that they're good by at least a half a lap, or even just when they cross the line they run out of fuel?
Yeah, it's going to be fun and interesting to see for sure as it does get down to the end of this thing here as we watch Sherinsky, Willen, and Dillon off the corner. So is Dan West Jr. as well as O'Hare. All of this is going on as they climb the bridge here at start finish, and all the while they still try to set their sights on the driver of obviously Paul Newton and Tyler King, who are 1 and 2, but there's the 3rd place man. He's just way back behind them by 12 seconds, if you will. And to be honest with you, Samuel, cut the distance in half for Tyler King to get to Paul Newton.
Yeah, and for Paul Newton, he certainly is doing a great job. Using that fast repair at the competition caution was a great move for himself, as the pass for 6th place was just shown there. Breitzman able to get by that to Kevin Smith, and 46, again, a driver that came into pit road. We know Sean Breitzman is good to make it to the end, and he's been running some of his fastest laps so far. And Wesley, he's running about 3 seconds faster than our leader, and right now, even at that pace, he would not catch up to Paul Newton. He'd be about 5 seconds shy from catching up to Paul Newton at this pace. But if Paul Newton starts to slow down in any fashion, Sean Breitzman is closing in and could be a factor here at the end.
So, as Sean Breitzman works his way back around, obviously we're watching him come off the carousel, heading out into what will be the Canada corner. It is obviously, there's the rest of the field, 3rd, 4th, 5th on back. You gotta wonder, here's the thing, when Breitzman pitted, he fell all the way back to 11th, Samuel. Then Harris had his problems. He quickly started climbing back. John Breitzman was around 49 seconds behind the leader of Paul Newton when he finally exited off the pit lane. As you mentioned, he has cut that interval now in 6th position to 34 seconds back. But all the while, as you see Sherinsky and you see Dan West Jr., if they start having problems because they get impatient or they're starting to slow down to conserve fuel, Samuel, this could possibly, not saying hypothetically it will, but it could open the door for Breitzman, if he can still stay at pace and not use up his tires, run them down.
Yeah, I mean, the difference right now, Sean Breitzman to this group that we're watching on screen as Dan West Jr. gets past with Stephen O'Hare, got to be 18 seconds now, as that of Sean Breitzman is going past turn 14 and climbing up the hill to the start-finish line while these drivers are entering turn number 1. I mean, that's a giant gap seeing it, but in that one talking point of seeing these drivers drive all the way down to turn number 1, Sean Breitzman is caught up by almost a second and a half to that of Dan West Jr. So they're catching up, certainly. That last lap, Sean Breitzman, a 2-minute and 15.2 second time compared to the 2-minute and 18.3 second time of Paul Newton. It's certainly a big gap as you see the 00 out of shape for Kevin Smith out of turn number 1. But I got to say, Sean Breitzman, he needs to be able to run this pace and also hope that Paul Newton runs about a second slower.
That's Frank Harris. That was Frank Harris. He just passed, I believe, in the 11, Samuel. I'm thinking he might be ready to come to the pits.
Yeah, Frank Harris has been having a rough time for himself. I think he might be just getting out of the way. And that's exactly what he's doing. I went and checked back with 11. Just wanted to let other drivers go on by so he doesn't have to worry about drivers catching up to him in these hard braking zones that you see Sean Breitzman running currently. But 7 laps to go. It's still up in the air. We don't even know if Paul Newton can make it on fuel. But certainly, Sean Breitzman makes it fun for us to see. Can he run down and catch up to these drivers in front of him?
Samuel, we mentioned Paul Newton. What about the other guys in the back? Tyler King, Noah Shurinsky, O'Hare, West, can they make it? Can they go the full distance, do you think? Or are they needing to keep an eye on the fuel gauge?
I mean, we know Noah Shurinsky and Stephen O'Hare and Dan West Jr. all were running very slow lap times. They were running about 2 to 3 seconds slower than Paul Newton and Tyler King. Tyler King and Paul Newton have been running very aggressive times, and they have, yes, they're a little bit slower than what they were running before, but they've still been pretty aggressive on the times that they've been putting down. For Noah Shurinsky, Stephen O'Hare, they could be close on making it to the end. Dan West Jr., that engine damage is going to be really not turn him into, he's not going to be a factor. He's going to be passed by that of Sean Breitzman. By the time that we get to the end of this race, it's really on what are top 4. Can any of them make it? Because if they can, certainly he's going to spice things up to the end.
Noah Shurinsky working his way back into turn number 1. Of course, he's in that number 3 position. Stephen O'Hare right behind him. Dan West Jr., your top 5. We are also closing in on the top of the hour. We will pause for network ID for our final time and take you to the finish at Road America on the Community Radio Network next.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
Welcome back to Road America. Samuel Dyer, Wesley Outland, Charles Wooten on production, and we are ready to bring this to the finish at Road America with a lot of crazy storylines that are now finally ready to begin written to the finish. All the while, it is Paul Newton leading after sheer domination in this race by Sean Breitzman. Sean Breitzman, we knew, had to pit. He's now on a clinic to run them down. He currently is outside the top 5 and 6, 30 seconds back. However, the question looms, can Paul Newton and Tyler King go the distance on fuel? We know Shurinsky, O'Hare, and West are possibly playing possum, being very, very slow, Samuel Dyer, to try to make the finish. But does they have enough time? And obviously, we always said this when we came on the air, never count out Paul Newton when it comes to road courses.
Yeah, there's been a lot of yo-yoing going back and forth between Noah Shurinsky and Stephen O'Hare on this run, but both have been over that a second, 2, sometimes even 3 seconds slower than Paul Newton and Tyler King. I think they went with a little bit, oh no, Tyler King!
Wow. No, that's,
that is Stephen O'Hare.
That's O'Hare, 5th place truck. Oh no.
And just like that, doomsday hits for one Beaver State driver, and the other's got to hope that he can survive on fuel.
The American touch-up, Nicole Bryan Photography Ford, number 41, Stephen O'Hare, crashing with 5 laps to go, coming out of Canada corner. And Samuel, there you see Sean Breitzman. He's trying to run down Stephen O'Hare to move to the top 5. They're at the line.
And it's going to be at least down to turn number 3, potentially turn 5, when this pass is going to be made. But that is Sean Breitzman. Overall, just so much faster than that of Stephen O'Hare. That damage going to be too much for the 41, who had already used the fast repair. O'Hare just now trying to survive to make it to the end, but just showing one mistake can throw away all of that advancement, all that progress and cheer for the 41. 5 laps to go, and now is just hoping for a top 10 finish.
5 laps to go here at Road America is the equivalent of probably 20 miles or more left to go in this race here tonight. So ready to settle in for the finish is right now. There you see the driver of Sean Breitzman closing in on the top 5 truck of Stephen O'Hare, who just had an issue. You saw what happened as soon as he had his issue and wrecked once he got back going in the crosshairs of the 46 of Breitzman. And honestly, this is the best battle with the Ford and Toyota on the racetrack with now 5 to go here at Road America, Samuel. And up there goes O'Hare off course again. Open the door, step right in and take 5th. And Sean Breitzman says thank you.
Yeah, O'Hare, it just keeps on getting worse for the 41, and now it's Sean Breitzman up to the top 5. Yes, he needed to go with a gutsy call, decided to stay out, and decided to go with a different... I mean, if you're going to go for a win, compared to some of these other drivers around you, I think also before that incident, a lot of these drivers were expecting to see Ryan Bloom on the lead lap and not have internet issues, but for Sean Breitzman, he certainly did try something different here, Wesley, and I don't think if we see Paul Newton run out of fuel or any of our top 4 run out of fuel, it's been a great call for this 46. But, man, the waiting game certainly starts to kick in here, knowing for Breitzman, he needs to see Newton really lose out on fuel at some point. But the gap is so large, Paul Newton can really start to woe up on his speed if he feels like he's not going to make it at this point.
And speaking of Paul Newton, you're back on board with him again. There is the leader. There finally, you saw the back of the field of second running him down as they go under the Sargento Cheese Bridge right there. Charles, I know you're happy this time. As the lap's winding down with now 8 seconds the difference between Newton and King. 4 laps to go as they come to the carousel part of the race course. And I'll tell you what, Samuel, I mean, as you said, Newton, he could literally start slowing down and conserve. He's got still almost 9 seconds behind him to the leader, Tyler King. And obviously, the man he was worried about most of all, Sean Breitzman, I think is slowly but surely not becoming a benefactor as he's 26 seconds back behind Paul Newton. You got to do what you got to do, and you got to conserve fuel if you want to win this race for the 27, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, for Paul Newton, it was all about build a gap and then save fuel. That was his mindset on how he wanted it to go. Kind of similar to the way that Sean Breitzman wanted to build a gap, so then he had enough time to run down everyone else that was trying to save fuel for themselves. But Tyler King, Noah Schwinski, Dan West Jr., I mean, look at some of the other drivers of Stephen O'Hare who's had his issues. That of Kevin Smith. Also, you know, a majority of the drivers have decided to try to stay out, stretch their fuel out as long as they can. And with 4 laps to go, Paul Newton, he can slow down. He's got a 9-second gap lead over Tyler King. He's got over that of 26 seconds over that of Sean Breitzman. So if he's got someone in his ear telling him, hey, you've got this amount of seconds back to this driver, you really can back off your speed and you're going to be good to keep everyone behind you, just because you got such a big lead over everyone else.
Yeah, the leader's got nobody in sight right now behind him. As you see him climb the bridge behind start-finish line, he's getting ready to go to turn 1. And right there, if you looked on the upper right of the monitor, you saw Tyler King finally pop up in there and cross the start-finish line here at Road America. Moving back to the Marine Sweep is the driver of Paul Newton. 3 laps to go, Samuel. He has just played his cards right, done what he needed to do and get this win. And obviously, I got to give mad props to a driver like Tyler King as well, Samuel. We go back and recap his night. Problems in the start. Had to start the race from the pits. Came back in the first lap up to 7th. And he has been a top 5 contender all night long in the 21.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler King really has played his cards right with the absolute dismal way that this race could have started for himself. It really has turned around, and if anything, it could have helped him stay out of trouble. There were a lot of drivers that if he had qualified where he qualified and where he would have started on track, he could have been involved with a lot of different incidences of seeing that of Chris White and Kevin Smith on lap 1. Missing their braking zones into turn number 5. Tyler King could have been involved with that wreck. And as well, you know, being so far back, he was able to catch up to drivers that were off pace, easily giving the 21 space to make the passes. So kind of all worked out in the way of Tyler King. For Paul Newton, it's been kind of a grueling challenge. He got the pole award, but then on lap 3, went off track, made a major mistake, lost a lot of ground. He's been trying to work his way forward and you know, getting some major damage that really hurt him, dropped him back to that 5th, 6th position at one moment. But his competition caution, giving him the ability to use that fast repair, take all that damage away, and he has been top of the class, has put down the 2nd fastest lap of the whole, 3rd fastest lap of the day of a whole, and Paul Newton's been great. But, you know, here are the 55 of Dan West Jr. Wesley. I mean, that restart really didn't help him with Bryce Beatty spinning out right in front of the 55.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And of course, got to give mad props to Noah Sherinsky. I think this will probably be, Samuel, the best average finish for him so far this year in his return back with the Northwest Racing Series. Of course, other races he's ran, he's been involved in accidents or unable to finish or mired in the back. A solid podium for Noah Sherinsky in the 3rd spot right now, unless Dan West Jr. can try to take that away from him. They work their way to the Marine sweep into turn number 1, 2, and 3. And the carousel awaits the rest of the field. And also 2 laps to go, under 8 miles remaining at Road America for the virtual trucks of the Northwest.
It's going to be that last lap that we start to worry some, though. Has Paul Newton, Tyler King, Shawinski, Dan West Jr., have they saved enough fuel? Because it was coming to that white flag where they needed to save a full lap of fuel, basically a lap and a half, that they had to make sure that they saved enough for. Pacing for a lap and a half certainly helped for half of that lap saved, or at least a quarter, but they really had to work on slowing down their pace. And as well, talking about pace, Sean Breitzman has basically equalized with that of Paul Newton, and now it's just the fact of, oh no, Shawinski, Dan West Jr. contact wrecked. Oh, that's 2 positions that Sean Breitzman can take away.
And guess who's coming? Sean Breitzman. Can he go after them in time? Shawinski and West, and Sean Breitzman says, I'll take those spots as well. Could we see him go to the podium, Samuel, and run down the 55 in the 96?
That's going to be the big thing to watch out for. For the 96, did not get as much damage as I thought he was going to get. Dan West Jr. really took the brunt of that damage, and Sean Breitzman's going to be a lot faster, and their teammates. I'm expecting this pass to be a lot easier than what Sean Breitzman would have to deal with later on, but I don't know if he can catch up to Shawinski unless Shawinski runs out of fuel. That's a huge gap that the 46 needs to catch up to the 96.
Must took out one of those barrier signs on the side of the track for the driver of Sean Breitzman, trying to run down Dan West Jr. And all the while, the leader, Paul Newton, will work his way, coming to the start-finish line of the white flag of the CRN. 1 to go. 1 more lap to go for the driver of the number 27, Paul Newton. Final time into turn number 1 at Road America. We see him as the leader. The battle, though, is for 4th and 5th and possibly 3rd as they cross the start-finish line for the final time at Road America tonight, Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, as Paul Newton is right now, he's got a 9.5-second gap over that of Tyler King. And then the battle for 4th is that of less than a half a second. And right now for Paul Newton, all he has to do is hit his marks. He's got such a big gap. He can slow down, really let this truck coast through these corners before really getting into the throttle, just in case he feels like he's close on fuel. But what really matters the most is to make sure you've got enough fuel to get up the hill after that of turn 14. If you don't have enough fuel to get up that hill, that's when you're in trouble.
Final time around off of the carousel, working his way to the part of the race course where it gets really, really tricky. Final time, he's on the binders, ready to get up and make a final driver left. That driver left will send him now into the part of the off of Marine Sweep, off the carousel, heading in now into the final time around the Canada corner in the S's. Thunder Alley, all awaits him, Samuel. It's Paul Newton doing what he needs to do so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's been honestly on the mark, and he's running faster than Tyler King. This 27 feels good on fuel to make it to the end. As you saw there, Ryan Bloom 5 laps down in front of the 27, just running his own race. But right now, Paul Newton, Canada corner, just 2 more bends to go after this one.
And mind you, Ryan Bloom, a top contender again in stage 1 before the caution, and then something amiss there when he lost connection. And all the while, coming out of the Canada corner into turn number 13 and 14, working his way back to start finish as he climbs the hill one more final time. Here comes Paul Newton coming up the hill under the start finish line. Checkered flag awaits Paul Newton, and he will win another road course event here tonight at Road America. The battle now for second and third going on now in front of Samuel Dyer.
Going to be Tyler King easily making it across. Noah Shawinski going to be feeling comfortable, but it's the battle back for fourth place. That is Dan West Jr. bobbling, shuffling.
Wow.
Here comes that and Breitzman side by side across the line, and Sean Breitzman taking fourth place right at the last moment.
They almost took each other out when they were coming off of turn number 14 here at Road America to the flag. You knew how much important that was there. That puts now Sean Breitzman up a spot to fourth as the rest of the field crosses the line. Wow. Best time of the race, 2:15.58. Fastest lap of the race overall, Sean Breitzman, 2:14.71. Was he flying around here at Road America? And Samuel, it happened during that final stretch of pit stops where he tried so hard to run down these drivers. And whatever Paul Newton did, he conserved, he saved. We might have questioned it a time or two, Samuel, but when it's said and done, he gets the checkered flag here tonight at Road America.
Yeah, I mean, a majority of these drivers, they were running about 2 to 3 seconds off of their fastest times for most of that run, and I think that's where they were saving a lot of that fuel. And for Noah Shawinski, that of Dan West Jr. Dan West Jr. had that front end damage. He was just underpowered. Shawinski was trying his best to run as fast as he can. Sean Breitzman went with the effort of being aggressive, and O'Hare at one moment could have been aggressive too on those times, but over aggression bit the 41. But man, no, Paul Newton, I with the way that this race started, those first 10 to 15 laps, I don't think this 27 had in his mind that a win was possible. But after getting the faster pair, after the mishaps of Ryan Bloom and Dan West Jr., it all just fell in place for Paul Newton.
For Paul Newton, it will be his second win this year, both coming on road courses. Remember, he swept Sonoma for Cup and Truck of the Northwest. And I want to see what Sean Breitzman does, as Sean Breitzman might come there and give him the obligatory nod or the pat there on the side to say congratulations. But no, just bypasses it. Well, couldn't get it done. Breitzman couldn't run down Paul Newton. What a battle there between Newton and West on that, or Breitzman and West, when it was all said and done for that final spot for third and fourth. But I'll tell you what, Samuel, what a drive, or fourth and fifth. When it's all said and done, man, Paul Newton, just the strategy. I think when we lost Ryan Bloom, that changed everything. And like you said, I really don't think Paul Newton think that he was going to win this race tonight.
I mean, it was still out there. It was still possible, but it certainly was going to be a lot harder if we had Ryan Bloom not disconnect. And also with not having, the gutsy call from Bryce Speedy and Sean Breitzman to stay out on track on older tires, that really hurt the 70 on the restart and got into Dan West Jr. There are a lot of different factors that could have made Paul Newton's night a lot harder, but it all worked out, and a victory goes to him as he's starting to go backwards, and he's about to go do a burnout up the hill.
Up the hill, a burnout for the 27. I gotta wonder if he's run out of fuel now, Samuel, just trying to get up around the racetrack to do the Northwest High Five salute.
They're just having some fun. They're trying to sit up in the right poses to do some clean burnouts.
Oh, here we go. There we go. Destruction, chaos, mayhem. Chris White flying through the air. Campbell upside down. You're gonna go all out. Any other takers? Even on the ovals or the road courses, we call this our post-race celebration, the Northwest High Five Salute. Paul Newton, second win this year. I think they are done. Let's take a look at your official results. Unofficial until they make it official. Paul Newton is the winner, 12 seconds back to obviously Tyler King. Noah Shawinski, first time we'll talk to him on the podium in third tonight. Sean Breitzman, solid run back after a pitting. Top 5 finish along getting around Dan West Jr. at the line. Chris White, 6th. Robert Gamble 7th. Stefano Harris 8th. Kevin Smith and Toby Ritters, some rough roads tonight for both of them. Bumps and bangs, but still, Samuel, they finished in the top 10 at Road America.
That they did. Then going to be the rest of the field. Going to be in 11th place, Frank Harris with Ryan Bloom. Going to be in 12th with Ken Anderson. Not able to finish out this race in 13th. Same goes to that of Bryce Beatty, Carl Burke, Jeff Stabnow, and Aaron Cooper. Going to be finishing out your 17 drivers.
So that's the way it finishes out. Coming up, finish line, post-race wrap-up. We'll talk to the top 3. We'll wrap things up here at Road America. Get you set for, obviously, Pocono for the Cup and Trucks of the Northwest next Monday and Thursday night. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, on this Sunday, it is the Major Series presented by Majors Garage, the Austrian Grand Prix. We're looking forward to bringing that to you, Samuel and I, on Sunday night at 7:35 Eastern Time. We're back from Road America, and we talk to Paul Newton next. Welcome back to Virtual Road America, round 15 of the Northwest Racing Series in the books. iRacing on LSRTV, the Community Radio Network. By the way, don't forget tomorrow night, coverage from Wake County Speedway, the NASCAR late models and the Leith Cars 165. Our next broadcast on CRN, LSRTV, the Major Series. Samuel and I will kind of dab into that before we go off the air. But now it's time to grab a word with the top 3 here tonight at Road America. Noah Sharinsky, best finish of your Northwest Racing Series career happens tonight. You're on the podium in the trucks at Road America. Congratulations to you. How you feel?
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Definitely surprising, to say the least. Was just kind of expecting to take it smooth and kind of run my own race, and kind of started to see myself creep up the leaderboard. And then I look down and I'm in third, and I'm like, wow, okay. Got a long way to go though, and held off Dan West. So one of the best in the series, and I do feel bad for how I did it, but sometimes it just happens that way, and hopefully he doesn't take it too hard. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. Can't believe it's a third, and hopefully build on that momentum going through here in the Cup Series and Truck Series the following weeks.
Yeah, no, we've been watching these, watching you guys all night long. Saw that it was difficult for some just to stay on track. What was one of the most difficult aspects of this course for yourself here this evening?
Honestly, probably the middle section towards the turn 6 area. I really struggled through turn 6. I was able to get some good braking. Our setup was really solid. Caden and KR really brought a good truck for us, but I mean, I was able to brake really well in 1, 5, and 12, but I felt really bad through 6 through 8, and even through the carousel. So getting through there as clean as possible and with as most momentum as I could, keep the truck moving was definitely a challenge, but we overcame it and didn't lose too much time on the rest of the racetrack.
Hey, Noah, this has got to be a big boost for your career, obviously, for running with these guys to know you're able to compete and actually hang with some opportunities to look for a win soon here in the 96.
Yeah, definitely. We'll keep ringing the road courses, as you guys mentioned on the Cup broadcast earlier this week. That's generally what I show up for, and keep seeing what we can do. But yeah, I would love to keep the momentum rolling and maybe get a better finish and maybe 2 spots higher next time.
Sponsor time.
Got to thank KAR, Ski Fleet Enterprises, Caden, Cole, Lake, Justin, everybody who gets this old 96 truck on track as the little 5th car of the stable. LSRTV, CRN for putting on an awesome broadcast, awesome interviews, and great content for us as the Northwesterners. So appreciate everything you guys do, and on we go.
On to the next one, road course there for Noah Sharinsky. First time ever on the podium of the top 3 here tonight at Road of America. Second spot for the driver, the 21, Tyler King. American touch-up Nicole Bryan photography entry. I'll tell you what, Tyler had problems on the start. Did you think everything would cycle back around at the finish of you being where you're at now on the podium in second? It's got to be positive, especially with the roller coaster at the start here tonight.
Yeah, with how things were going before we started gridding, I didn't think I had a shot at anything today. But got lucky, got loaded up in the sim, and was able to launch off from the pits, and I was pretty good launch from the pits, if I gotta say. I mean, starting up front helped out a lot. I just tucked in right behind the pack there and just drove on through and missed that wreck down there going down the hill, and yeah, just kept it on track. Yeah, it was a good day. Good day.
I mean, Tyler, we were seeing the pace between yourself and Paul Newton there in those final 10 laps. They were pretty similar to one another. Did you feel like you needed to be very aggressive to try to keep up with Paul, or was fuel management more of the goal for yourself at the end there?
Yeah, we weren't worried about fuel. We had enough to make it on the end. We were conserving a lot during the pace laps, during the mid-race break. Then once Caden had his issue and Robert got caught up into it, and I'd clear track at that point. I'm not going to catch Paul. There's no way I'm going to catch Paul. So basically just putting together clean laps for me and bringing it home to the finish.
I'll tell you what, Tyler, this will give you another solid finish here, man. Your thoughts of just racing with these guys, obviously being amongst guys like Noah Sharinsky and their hunger to get back and try to do well. And then, of course, racing with the likes of Sean Breitzman, Dan West Jr., guys you know very, very well throughout the years. And throughout the bumps and bangs that you guys all seem to have had tonight, you still prevail and get yourself a good finish. And you can also segue that comment into your sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, the Northwest Racing Series is a incredible group of drivers. I've been doing this. I've been on iRacing for 14 years now. So I raced a lot of people. I got to race against a lot of world championship drivers, who I can't even compete with. But we got a great group of drivers here. They are very, very talented and very good at what they do. And to finish in the top 5, top 10 here is great. Top 5s are fantastic, and winning is super duper hard. I got a run of 5 top 5s in a row. Super proud of that. Keep it on. Hopefully, we can keep it on going through the summertime. Catch us a couple wins. Put this American touch-up F-150 with Peels Mandarins, Nicole Bryan photography, and more speed up on that championship podium by the end of the year, hopefully.
As Tyler King, he will settle for number 2 position here tonight at Road America Speedville. Let's go to Victory Lane. Second win this year on the road courses. He won at Sonoma, and then he turns around and wins here again tonight. And I honestly say this, me and Samuel in our dialogue and commentary was thinking at one time, Paul, you might not have thought that you had a shot to win. Breitzman was strong. Obviously, Ryan Bloom looked to be the pick of the litter, but somehow, some way, you just climbed through everyone else and put it up in Victory Lane. Congratulations to you. Your second win this year. Obviously, I got to start calling you the road course ringer of the Northwest.
Well, we got a lot of good road course drivers in here, so I don't know that I'm quite a ringer over guys like Ryan Bloom and Sean Breitzman and people like that. We've got a lot of great drivers in here. But, yeah, I knew that that first lap didn't go well. I got a bad start off the initial start, and then got a piece of a couple guys behind us, got together and slid through that turn there. And I got a big piece of that, and so from that point, I knew that I wasn't going to have the pace. My car was a little too damaged right then, but I knew I had that fast repair in my back pocket. And I knew that competition yellow was coming, so I was never out of it. I knew that the car had pace in it. I think I got my first pole ever tonight, so that was good. So, yeah.
I mean, Paul, we saw that you had that fast repair in your back pocket, but, man, what was going through your mind coming to, the restart after the competition caution and seeing that Ryan Bloom disconnected, and then coming out of the corner and seeing that Dan West Jr. had some major front end damage? What was going through your mind at that point, coming to the last stages of this race?
Well, right on that restart, I was very concerned about having Dan West in front of me, and then I was very concerned about Ryan Bloom and the whole pack behind me. But I knew that there were guys in there that definitely had to make a pit stop, so I knew that there were only a few guys I really had to focus on. And it kind of came down to Dan and it came down to Ryan. So when they had their misfortunes, it was kind of home free at that point. We're really trying to get a Beaver State 1, 2, 3. We got the 1-2 thanks to Tyler King, so that was awesome.
I'll tell you what, Paul, final question. You can segue this into your sponsors as well. These wins on the road course level, is it also making you possibly look at getting better and better on running on the regular race courses, the regular speedways, the intermediate tracks, or is it just you feel like your best work is done here on the road courses? And how do you feel like you just get through these race courses and turns and chicanes and carousels just so swiftly as you've been doing probably the last 5 or 6 road course events where you've been a contender to win?
Yeah, it's just, I am kind of a road course ringer because I really have been, like Tyler, I've been with iRacing pretty much since the start, but I focused on road the entire time. I do autocross and track events here in real life, so road courses just, suit my strengths really well. But definitely I hope the best is yet to come. I know that I'm getting more competitive on these ovals. The big part of that is Beaver State Racing. They're building excellent setups. I know we're going to be very competitive at like Pocono and Indianapolis coming up, so I hope there's some opportunities there. I can become an oval ringer too, not just a road course ringer. So I want to thank the boys back at the shop at Beaver State Racing. This setup that we ran tonight is one that me and Dennis have been passing back and forth ever since Sonoma, and each one of us has improved it a little bit. And we've got Tyler and Stefan as well helping us out, and I want to congratulate Tyler especially today, driver of the day, coming from last place all the way up to second, so that's pretty cool. And I want to thank Peel's California Mandarins and Paul Newton Design. And I want to thank the Northwest Racing Series and LSRTV for bringing us these awesome races. Thanks, guys.
Paul Newton, second win of the year for the Northwest Racing Series. And remember, the Cup and Truck Series for the Pacific Northwest iRacing Tour will be in action next Monday and Thursday. Samuel, before we do let you go, your final thoughts of tonight. And remember, we're back with the Major Series on Sunday night. Round number 9, the Austrian Grand Prix with American Sportsman. I know you're excited about this one in Giddy Buddy. The Red Bull Ring Grand Prix, the Austrian Grand Prix, and you love those Formula One cars. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, that's probably one of my, I know we've had your favorites races coming up for the majors in these past couple of rounds, but this is my favorite that's coming up, the Austrian Grand Prix. We get to see the 2021 F1 vehicles going to the Red Bull Ring. It's going to be a good one to watch on Sunday night. But for tonight, man, I mean, what a recovery from Paul Newton. Being able to go through the struggles he had helps to have that safety net of fast repair and help that 27 get back in the mix. Got to be feeling bad, though, for Ryan Bloom. Dan West Jr. both caught up in their own messes from that restart after the competition caution, with Ryan Bloom being disconnected. Dan West Jr. caught up with the wreck between himself and Bryce Beatty. But, man, what a race it was this evening. Got to see battles all the way through this race course. And Paul Newton, congratulations on getting your second win of the season.
Yeah, it certainly was a good one. And again, we'll strap in and get ready for the Tricky Triangle next Monday and Thursday for the Northwest Racing Series. Of course, as always, follow them at Northwest Racing Series on Facebook, at LSRTV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The same thing with at CRN Sports. And, of course, we thank you all for tuning in. Our producer, director, Jeff Stabnow, Charles Wooten for Rocket Media and Live Sim Racing. For, of course, Samuel Dyer, I am Wesley Outland. We congratulate again Paul Newton, second win this year, tonight at Road America. God bless you all. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you Sunday night for the Major Series and the Austrian Grand Prix.